Hi there. In this podcast, we're going to have a quick chat about contra-actions. So these differ from contraindications. Charlotte, do you want to give us a clue?
Yeah, okay, so these are a reaction to massage. So a contra-action is a reaction, where a contraindication is a reason not to massage. So it's quite a big difference, really.
Okie dokie. So most people we will treat will have some kind of reaction, won't they?
Yeah.
Their body is just responding to the massage and it affects a lot of the different systems. So this can be quite mild or it can be quite intense, and it really does depend on the person. And I also think it depends on how regularly they've had massage or whether they've had massage before.
Yeah, absolutely. But also sort of like their physical and mental state, how they're feeling that day can actually have a really big difference on their reaction to massage. So it's just something that you need to make sure you warn them about. So it's really important before you treat someone to warn them that there might be some common reactions afterwards.
Yeah, and you don't have to list every single one, but you can say if something unusual happens, it may very well be down to the massage, but you can list a few of the basic ones to them. I mean, I've had some really extreme reactions in my career. I've had a lady that's been almost convulsing where she's so cold from the massage, and she's just had an extreme response to the massage, which is a bit frightening at the time, but as long as you know what it is and you can explain it to your client, it's fine.
So the other thing we've had as well is sort of emotional reactions. So the reaction can be actually sort of within the body systems on a localized or systemic basis, but it can also be emotional. So we'll chat through a few sort of key examples of some really common contra-actions.
Yeah, that's cool. So first of all, the most common one I think is a drop in the blood pressure, isn't it? So they've been led down and you've been massaging them and they get up, and I always advise people to get up really slowly, and they don't always listen, but they tend to be a little bit lightheaded, feel like they've maybe had a glass of wine or something, and that's just a drop in the blood pressure, and that will return to normal quite quickly.
So you can manage some of these as well. So that's something I'd always advise people to sort of sit quietly for 5 minutes after treatment, not to get straight in the car and drive off, if at all possible, of course. Just to make sure you can manage that. The next thing, so people will also get reddening of the skin quite commonly, and that we call that arrhythmia. And that's just a result of blood flow being stimulated to the area. Obviously, you've had a bit of friction on the skin as well. So it can be a direct effect on that area. Again, that will ease off fairly quickly. It's quite a short-term contra-action.
Quite a rare one, but does happen occasionally, is bruising from deep work. So I've got some clients that are quite fragile. They bruise easily anyway. So you have to do be careful with that. It's not something I make as a goal to bruise people. So do be careful, but it can happen.
Yeah, hopefully rarely, but you do see it. So something to watch out for. As well as that, you can get sort of some skin irritation, so it's which will give you sort of some small spots potentially on the skin. Now that's just irritation of the hair follicles. Can be related to an allergy, so if somebody does report that, do look at your notes, see what you massage them with, and if you perhaps need to move away from the substance you were treating with, or use something with a little bit more friction reduction potentially.
I generally find that the little spots come up more on men with hairy legs, so it's called folliculitis, and it's just a little irritation at the hair follicle. The other thing is tiredness or altered sleep pattern. So some people can have the greatest night's sleep after a massage, and I must admit I do, and I love it. But actually some people can go completely the other way and not get any sleep at all, or some people just have to go to sleep as soon as they get off the couch. So some people go and have a power nap, whatever. But it's just something to warn them of.
Now the other thing, and this is fairly common depending on how much someone's been massaged, how sore they are, how heavy and deep a treatment you've done, is someone can feel quite stiff and achy the day after. It can feel a bit like DOMS. Massage can have the same sort of feeling afterwards as doing a heavy workout. So do make sure that you chat to somebody about expectations. If they're planning to go and run a marathon, make sure you don't do any deep work the day before, for example, but also that they're expecting this. So otherwise they might be a bit shocked that they leave you feeling stiff the day after. Normally up to 72 hours we say to be completely back to normal. That'd be fair, wouldn't it?
It would. And also, so Charlotte obviously mentioned events, so you start to think about your pre and post event massage techniques rather than your maintenance massage. So it's a really key important thing to always know what your client's up to.
So as well as that, we've got things like the digestive system. So often when you're massaging someone, you'll find that their tummy starts gurgling and
all the time, and mine.
Yeah, that's not having lunch properly. But So that will be something to be aware of when they start going, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, it must be gone tea time. No, it's absolutely normal. You're activating the sort of the rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system. So hopefully you are. So that's going to be something that happens inevitably. So don't worry about that one.
It happens a lot. It really does. Some people can get headaches sometimes from tension build-up being released or dehydration. So it's really, really important that people drink after. And a lot of people report being thirsty.
Yeah, the other thing, of course, is they'll often, because we've again activated that parasympathetic nervous system, often people will find that they end up needing to go to the toilet a little bit more, and often actually will find that they start sweating a little bit more after a treatment. In contrast, they might also go really shivery and get quite cold. So always make sure you're encouraging people to obviously stay warm, but then drink plenty of water afterwards to counter that.
Another thing that can happen, which isn't very common, I must admit, but has happened to us, and we've been practicing a long time, so it was guaranteed to have, is emotional release. This can come out in people downloading a load of information on you, or it can come out in sort of tears and things like that. So just be prepared. A bit of a shock to the system, that one.
Yeah, it's happened to everybody. So when someone does start getting quite emotional or crying or whatever on the couch, you do need to be aware. So it can be both during and after a treatment, so short and long term on that one.
You do have to be careful with what you say, counselling and advice-wise there. So just to say, be careful what you say. Be a listener, not a talker.
Absolutely, that's really important. So hopefully from that gives you an idea of some of the really common contra-actions that we've come across. Some of them can be positive, some negative. All of them can be managed though.
Yeah, so be prepared for them and allow your client time. Try not to rush them out of the building, especially if you're in a clinic. You've got a waiting area. If they're at home, it's perfect because they can just go and sit on their sofa where you drag your stuff out the door. Make sure you've got plenty of water available and be prepared to listen.
So also what's really important to do is if anyone does have any extreme reactions, make sure you reassure the client, but also make sure you make a note of that.
Definitely.
This might be something that you can do in your treatment to ensure that at the end of the treatment you take longer getting them up off the couch, or that you just change the techniques and the way you've treated slightly.
Definitely. So there's some really useful information for you there. So some key points, just remember to let your client know that they could have some reactions and that's perfectly normal, but also let them know that a few people don't have any reactions at all, because I have had a few people come back to me and say, I didn't get anything. I'd be really, really disappointed to say they're the lucky 2-3%, whatever. But anyway, so that is your contra-actions, and it's quite an important thing to remember when you're treating.
Absolutely.